I don't know if you caught some of our conversation earlier as we were getting started, but I'm just so honored to be here, to be with you all tonight. And the Charlotte Meetup group leaders are special to my heart because it was one of my very first meetups. And also Tim Handline's on the line as well with us tonight, who was very instrumental in getting me started into MuleSoft. He actually planted that seed that made me look in the direction of MuleSoft. And one of the first things I'm going to cover tonight is about MuleSoft mentors. And I have had some wonderful mentors in my career. And now it is my opportunity to give back. A little bit about myself. I am a MuleSoft mentor. It's a new program with MuleSoft, and I became a MuleSoft certified instructor this year in my career, as well as a MuleSoft admin, SME, and architect on two projects. One it was a federal contract, the other a state contract. I have since dwindled that down and put in my notice and have worked out a notice for the federal contract so that I can breathe a little bit and focus on teaching. And like I had mentioned, I am a MuleSoft mentor. This is a new program that I'm going to tell you a little bit about here in just a few minutes. I was also recognized as Pro of the Quarter as a MuleSoft community contributor, which was a surprising honor. I was really thrown back by that, but I was just being diligent to learn and be part of the community, and that was something that came just second after I started doing that more so. And as the 2020 MuleSoft Community Awards, I was one of the top meetup speaker. Because it just got contagious. It was fun to share, fun to learn. And of course, in the meantime, as a speaker, you do get a instructor-led course of your choice, as well as a exam voucher. And that was part of my scholarship fund. I just kept doing more and more to where I could learn a lot on my own, a lot through the meetups, but then the instructor-led courses really solidified my knowledge base, and I went for all of the certifications. I'm presently completely certified in all, and looking forward to the level 2 courses because, or I should say, I've already taken the level 2 courses. They are compiling the level 2 exam. And so that'll be something that I'll be sitting for as well. But it all started in Charlotte, North Carolina. So thanks, guys. I appreciate that so much. The MuleSoft Mentor Program is a new program that started this year. And the benefits of it are you are recognized as a MuleSoft expert. There are free training courses in that program as well. And so that's a huge perk, as you know. You have access to special events where there's product announcements or just discussion on some of the newer products that are available. And it really is an exciting place to be and be recognized and be in tune with the changes that are coming. You get specialty swag. I've gotten some great things just come shipped to me. And, everything from a really nice composition book or a journal, as well as a wonderful water bottle that's my husband keeps eyeballing. It's like, no, that's mine. But anyway, recently got a wireless cell phone charger, bamboo, really sharp looking. So anyway, just really cool stuff like that they send us. And you can build your personal brand. I'm not at the point of really focusing myself on that, but I know that a lot of the mentors are doing that. And it may be just happening for me really without me working towards that as much right now. But my focus is really more on continuing to build out as well as sharing with others. And how do you become a mentor? You can apply yourself. That's fine to do. Don't be hesitant in regards to that, because it's something that you want to promote yourself. If someone doesn't nominate you, you can also nominate someone and submit the request in that regards too. So feel free. You can locate that on the developer MuleSoft.com community mentors site, and I encourage you to check that out. What is required of you in the MuleSoft Mentor Program? Oh, this is a picture that Ravi created, a collage of all of the very first 16 MuleSoft mentors. And it's really exciting to be a part of this group, as well as to share knowledge base and be able to encourage one another. And, you know, so there was original gang of 16, as he put it. And I understand that the next group has been identified and they will be announced in July. So that will be coming about sometime this month, to where you'll find out who the new MuleSoft mentors are. I should say they're in addition to the original 16. So collectively, the way this works is we will all be mentors for a year, and then you can resubmit. So this will be something that is an ongoing program with MuleSoft, and they continue to wow us with some of the fun things that they do and encourage us. And the benefit, not only to us personally as mentors, but to you all in the community, is there's more of us available to be able to provide blogs, meetups, training videos, YouTube videos. There's so much available, or I should say that will be even more available and readily available, even answering some of the questions on the helpmulesoft.com. You know, I remember when I was a student going through the, originally when I first got started, of course, I was part of Tim Hanline's Mule Learning Group, which was great, and I had a lot of support there. But when I started going through the fundamental course myself, the self-paced course, there were some questions that I had, and the forum was helpful, but there were, you know, that I didn't always get a quick answer, because when you're stuck, you know. So I think with a lot more of the mentors available, there will be part of our requirements are to lead or present at a meetup per quarter, which I surpassed that. I've already done Warsaw last month, and this month. I mean, I think I'm doing a little more than per quarter, but that's okay, because the other thing is technical blog or video per quarter. I haven't done that yet. So I'm working on my very first blog. I'm more of a obviously face-to-face person, but I'll be working on a technical blog on some of the things that I've been using in the meetups, because of the dedicated load balancer was really a great meetup to do, where I learned a lot about the dedicated load balancer, because we don't get those free in a trial unless you're working on a contract that does have them, and they usually don't like us playing around with their load balancer. So anyway, the other requirement is to answer 15 questions on the MuleSoft forum, and that's where I'm saying is that when a student's going through a self-paced, or they're just questions around something that they're working on, you know, we don't want those questions to get lost. We want to be able to be promptly answering some of those questions for them. So as a mentor, that's something that we'll be doing and should be doing more so, speaking to myself. Active membership on the Mule Dev groups. There's one at LinkedIn as well as Facebook, and they're all just fun. So you can't help but to have fun and be a part of those. And so it's really exciting to be part of this program. And I encourage you, in addition to being a mentor, one of the other requirements is to have at least one valid MuleSoft certification. And remember too that, you know, you do want to be preparing for them before they expire, to keep them ongoing as you go forward. And again, a lot of this is available on the MuleSoft Community Mentor Program on the website, so you can check that out. Okay, so we'll switch focus here. Are there any questions about the mentor program before we go forward into the MuleSoft Composer for Salesforce? Any questions? I'm looking at the chat to make sure. Sure. The Active Mule groups, there's one on Facebook. There's also one in LinkedIn. And if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I'll be glad to forward that and share that with you there. Or if anyone wants, I'll tell you what, when Whitney's presenting, I will put the links into the chat for you. Okay. All right, great. But yeah, I would love for you to be a part of that. It's great for learning. The level 2 exams are not on the website yet. The courses are. So there's 2 level 2 courses, instructor-led courses, but the exam is not quite ready yet. From what I understand, I'm not sure exactly when it will drop. Anyone know when the level 2 exams are expected?
What are the two level 2 courses, Diane?
I'll put them up on the chat as well when I'm not presenting. Yeah, there's two of them. They're, oh, I should have them on the tip of my tongue, but I don't.
One
And
is
I'll,
the advanced developer course, and then the other one is the database 2.0.
no, they're like,
They're like production ready course.
yes.
And then there's another one.
Yes, that's what they are. And they say level 2 to the side of it. If someone wants to go to the training.mulesoft.com site, or I can do it when I'm not presenting, I'll bring it up. But yeah, you can see there's two level 2 courses, and they're intense. I just absolutely loved them. The first one really got into the POM file. There's a BOM file. There's a POM file. So that, in other words, you learn so much more about controlling your applications and deployments, and it was just really very, very knowledgeable. Really gave me a lot to go on. And it did touch over MUnit, my favorite thing to speak about. So MUnit was included in one of them. It was not in the other, but that's okay. So, but I'll if someone can put those links in the chat, go for it. If not, I will be sure to share that. Okay. Any other questions on that before I move forward? There we go. Okay, they're up. Yeah. Yeah, very good. All right, great. Okay, so a little bit about MuleSoft Composer. It is our agenda that I'm going to be following is what is MuleSoft Composer? I had no idea when I first started digging in, and when you hear about new things coming out, it's like, oh, wow, what's that? So I will go into also some of the features of the Composer, how to configure it, the flow creation process, components of a flow, and the demonstration, of course, is always a fun part. And if you want to learn more, where you can go to learn more. So MuleSoft Composer, what is it? It's built into Salesforce, so it's within a Salesforce organization, but it's powered by any point platform. So it gives structured components that can be used within a Salesforce org. It's intended for non-developers. It's really set at such an ease of usage that for integrations that will allow more a faster to market or faster to use tool for integrations. Intended for people who are in the line of business. It's made for them. They're trying to do an integration. They've got a data that's in one siloed application, and they want to try to merge that with a real-time environment. So there's no coding involved. You just point and click, and it connects apps and data within a Salesforce user interface. They can, in the process, it's allowing them to create their integrations quick and fast, improving their customer experience. Insight into business performance, so they could do statistical information and automating manual tasks that they're doing all the time, that they're counting on these processes to occur and having to do it manually. Why? This gives them an opportunity that will streamline that and build this out a lot faster and smoother, and they get to do it themselves. Some of the features of the Composer, you can, right now there's some preset connectors, and you will be able to connect as an authenticated user automatically to various systems, and you'll see that in the demo. You can extract data from the connected systems, and it can be based on a specific event, like a trigger, if you will, or on a scheduler. So you could use a scheduler or a trigger. Extract data from one system to another. So you can pull from one, read from one, send to the other. What is integration about? That's integration, is pulling data from one, passing it to the other. And so you can see already the MuleSoft fingerprints all over this as it's composing and being used in Salesforce. As you are creating this, you can view sample data in every step as you're going through the process, filter and route data based on conditions. So there's if else or for each, there's various things you will be able to use as components that are going to sound very familiar to MuleSoft. And because it's MuleSoft Composer. You can loop through a collection of records and then do specific actions based on the given record and be able to filter and sort accordingly. And synchronize data across different systems, allowing you to have real-time data, being able to update and synchronize back and forth as you're using it. We will be testing, running, monitoring, and managing your flows. So it allows you the ability not only to develop it, but also to be able to continue to use them, monitor them. There's error messaging in it if there are errors flagged. Of course, being able to deprecate them if you're not using them anymore. And being able to troubleshoot errors in your flow. Okay. And going forward, to get started you'd have to purchase the MuleSoft Composer. It is not a free feature. It is something that is purchased in addition to your Salesforce applications. Once it is purchased, Salesforce will enable it within your organization and allow you to start building it out from there. There is not a trial account for this. Unfortunately, it is something that is not included as a free app to use for us to learn off of right now. So there's a little bit of challenges in regards to being able to really get your hands on it to try it out, other than some of the information on the Trailblazers. You can utilize that to get more information in regards to how it's working. As a Salesforce administrator, the way it is queued up to get started is you would go in through the setup menu, you search for the MuleSoft Composer, it comes up and you click MuleSoft Composer to get it started. Once it's started, then you actually will click the Install Manage Package and it begins the installation from there. So it's really very easy and user-friendly to walk through this process. I did one thing about a mentor, you do get perks like free usage of the MuleSoft Composer. So that was one of the things that was really exciting for me to be able to really use it. And so it really was very streamlined in putting it together. And I just did a basic installation. The next step after you do that first startup is the pre-authorized users. So once you have installed the managed package for Composer, then the next part is your permitted users and IP restrictions. And again, this was very easy to do as you went into clicking into it. It's an OAuth policies that you do and allow for your permitted users. You can choose their roles as far as that's concerned. And in this case, I went with the basic installation because I didn't really have, I didn't set up a lot of other users to really experiment with the various accessibility on that. So I went with basically pre-authorized, pre-approved, and for IP restrictions on that. So this portion of it for me was just really basically following some of the instructions on that to have that installed and going forward from there. But when I got in there, I realized how vast it is. So, again, just scratching the surface on this is very comprehensive and very, very powerful. Once I went in and enabled the MuleSoft services, this is where it really got intriguing to me. I like to know how something works. And when it went through and I started to initiate the configuration that I had started, this is where it goes in and creates Salesforce, kicks off and creates and connects with Anypoint platform. Now you don't get to see it, it's all happening under the hood, but it also creates not only a platform organization, but also an account for your Salesforce organization. So for those of you that have, like I have, set up business groups and organizations for live projects, you know, and the tedious work involved in that, this tickled me when I realized that this is using that. It's using that same platform, if you will. You don't get to see it, but it's happening under the hood. So you've got Anypoint platform happening under the hood of your MuleSoft Composer. So as I mentioned, when you use the Composer in your Salesforce org, Anypoint platform uses this Anypoint platform org an account to run and manage all your integration flows. So even though you're in Salesforce, it's tagging into MuleSoft. In the user access component, again, this was the next step after that connectivity was done with the platform itself. And again, you don't see that. The next part is assigning the users, and you click through it, assign the users. You get permission sets that come up. The primary user for the MuleSoft Composer is the Composer user. It's a given set of rights and access rights there. And then you can manage those assignments, and it goes into much deeper as far as, even selecting usernames in your organization. Like I said, for the setup that I did for the demo, I didn't add a lot of I only added myself, honestly. But as you go through, you can, control your users. This is where you would do it, is based on the user access at this point. So very, very intuitive, at the same time, very, very deep as far as, all of the various things that you can control here too. Then after you're done with that, then you click launch and you're ready to begin building. And I'm going to go over a few principles as before we actually get into the demo. And the first is, how do we create a flow? You basically, or I should say the process. There are connectors. There are pre-built connectors. And as you can see, we've got NetSuite, Slack, Workday, Tableau, and Google Sheets right now. These are the ones that are pre-built for you to use. You can add the logic to your flows with the if else blocks for each block's various actions as well as branches, so that you will be able to control some comprehensive logic. We do a little bit of logic in my little example that I have for you or the demo, but do know that it can be very much more complex than what I'm going to share. Then we have the testing phase, which I really was impressed with the testing feature of this. It kicks in, it tests your flow, it allows you to put in sample data, in which we will do that, and it will throw an error if there's an error, and you can detect what that error is. So we're going to troubleshoot a little bit. I have a on-purpose error planned. And so it can kind of give you an idea in the testing mode just how that works. Then you can activate your flow, and once it's activated, it's in use. Should it come across any errors, it will trigger an email alert, so you'll be aware if there's an error that occurs. But it is based on, just basically, it sounds very simple, and it is very user-friendly. Now, the components of a flow, as we go through, like I said, we have the connections, and that's what is used to make a connection to a system, and it would use your credentials. So you are working through your credentials, you grant it permission based on that, and as it goes through, it will continue to be able to pull data based on your credentials in that given flow. A trigger is needed for every flow. You must have a trigger event that kicks that flow off. So whether it is a scheduler or whether it is something happening, there must be a trigger in every event or in every flow. And we'll talk about a trigger as we put our flow together. You can see them listed on the side here where we have number one, where we have our Salesforce connector there, and then number two is our trigger. We're wanting to pull data in, and you can see number three is our if statement, if else. We have the if here and then the else down here, so we can kind of see that it is pulling in, you know, various steps of this, the if else logic block. And then action. What do you want to do? Once you've met this criteria, what do you want to do? So an action will take and either extract data from a system, or if you're manipulating data, or whether not to do something. So based on what you're wanting to do, it's going to basically act accordingly. Like in this case, if this condition occurs, then we want to get this associated account and get these products here also. So that is your action. There's the trigger, get, and then if it meets the criteria, then we want to perform this action. So it's really basic data flow, very basic, but yet again, much easier than having to code it. Then there's also the for each block. It'll iterate over a record and perform more actions from there, one or more actions, I should say, as you go down. In this case, it is taking each item in the list and inputting the list. So as you are it's iterating through, again, and those of us in MuleSoft, a lot of these names are very familiar. The for each we're very familiar with that. I even noticed in some of the messages that are created, I saw our little function key for a Mule expression pop up, and I was like, you know, so that you'll see some familiarity as you're working through it. All right, so we're ready for our demo. So I'm going to switch gears here and let me get my demo up for you. Okay. So when you come into the MuleSoft Composer, you'll come in and you'll see like help screens and of course, you know, Composer basics and trailheads and fun things you can do on the Trailblazer community. And I'm going to address that a little bit at the end too, because this is that category I want you to be sure that you are familiar with in regards to continuing education, because hands down, MuleSoft's got it going in the education realm, whether it's free or instructor-led. There's some really great material out here for us. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create a flow that is going to alert me in my Slack channel. I want to know when there is a elevated case that you can see. I've already been playing around with it. I had to test it out, make sure everything was going to work. But I have created this workspace in Slack that's going to alert my team, the support team, that there is a case that's been entered, a support case. And then I want it to give me personally a message when it's been elevated. So what I'm going to do is create a flow that will do this for us. So in advance, I've already gone in and I have created this workspace in my Slack channels here. And it's unique to this one. So, but you can see I have this customer support channel here, and the other is just coming to me, notifying me personally. Okay. So that was previously set up to do this. And so just to create a new flow, I come up here and I'm going to click create new flow. And it will load up. Okay. So to get us started, first thing we'll do is we want to go ahead and name our flow. And this is going to be sync service cases to Slack. I want to know what's going on. Okay. So there's that. And the first thing we're going to do, remember, we need a trigger. We have to have a trigger and start somewhere. So I'm going to use Salesforce as my trigger. So I just click Salesforce. I want to add a new connection. And this is going to be, I'm going to do support to Slack. No. I should do support cases. Here we go. Support cases to Slack demo. And I'm going to do create. So this starts my connection with Salesforce. Now, I have previously logged in and I've already authenticated on other connectors. So now it knows me. But when I first set this up, I had to put my Salesforce username and password here. But when you do, you know, once you click it, it's going to ask you, do you want to allow access? You know, so do know that whatever account you use is going to grant that access into that account. I am not 100% sure about this portion of it, but I would say I would prefer to use if I'm setting something up to be used in production or for a team, I would want to use a service account. So likely there is probably the ability to do that, but just my best practices kicking in there. All right, so then I want to allow this. All right, so now already it has said support cases to Slack demo have connected. So I have now authenticated. That means that I have authenticated successfully with Salesforce to be able to move forward to continue on creating this flow. So that's, again, confirmation every step along the way to know that what you're connecting with is everything is working. All right, so our first, we want to rename this step. And I'm big on renaming too. It was a lot in the training information on this to rename your steps so that it's applicable. And I'm huge on that so that you know exactly what's going on in your flows at a glance. So this is going to get the service case when there's some kind of a criteria. So as we are clicking this, we'll go ahead and do save. And when you do what we have where you can choose an event that starts this flow. Remember, it's a trigger. So what's going to trigger this flow to start? So let's take a look at what's here. Just by clicking in the box, I get that we can have it trigger when there's a new record created, a new or updated record, or a deleted record. And in our case tonight, we're going to do new or updated record. Now, what object type do we want? I want to have the object of case, which would be a support case. Now, when you click, first of all, there is a host of things that are of objects that are already created here for you that you can utilize. Very vast. I looked around at that a little bit. Completely impressed. Okay, so I am choosing object type case. And as it does, yeah, you are doing that, aren't you? Okay, there. Yeah, and you got to look to make sure that what you did is behaving, and it'll give you little indicators that it's moving on to the next phase. Now, already, look, you can see the expanded output here. In this object case, it has all these fields that we can use. There's 122 fields that we can use here. But for our example, we're not going to use every single one of them. We're going to choose a few to make it a little simplified. But you can tell, look at the number of fields that are available here. Quite impressive. Okay, so I'm going to select the fields. And the ones we're going to use for this example, we want to do case number, case origin, priority. Let's go down to priority. Oops, someone's calling. Priority. There we go. And we want subject and status, because status is actually what we're going to be using as a criteria. There we go. Okay, and notice the sample data that's available in each of these. This is already pre-built in here for us, at least on this account. Now, I don't know if it was one that you created in your environment, if you would have all that sample data or not, but this one actually did. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to click add, and we have added 5 fields. So we're going to be working with 5 fields for our flow. Okay, now just as easily, we have all that done and we're ready to move on to the next. This little plus sign right here is how we add on to our flow. Isn't that easy? It's almost as easy as Anypoint Studio when you drag and drop something over. I'm telling you, it's made coding a whole lot easier. Okay, so we have now for our next step, and now we want to do an if-else block. So in the if-else block, we're going to select this one right here. Okay, and we're going to add conditions right here. And what we want to do is if the status, remember I was telling you we're going to use the status as an indicator. If the status is equal to escalated, escalated, and be sure you spell it right, because if you misspell what you're testing against, it's not going to work. So escalated, and we want to save. And you can see your condition just to make sure that everything looks as it should. You can see your condition there. Now we want, as part of our if-else statement, we want to come down and work with this plus sign that's going to be part of the if-else conditions. If we were to drop down here and use this one, we would miss out on what we need to do here. So you want to click the plus sign that's part of the if-else block. All right, and my bandwidth must be a little funky because some of these icons are not coming through right, but we can tell what they're supposed to be. So our next one is we're going to add a Slack connection now. So I'm going to click the Slack. And at this point, what we want to do is we're going to be, if it's equal, if that case is equal, has a status of equal to escalated, I want to send a message. I want it to send a message to me, which is based, like I'm pretending I'm the regional leader. It's all good. And so I want to know. All right, so we're going to add, and we're going to call this one, I'm going to call this one send message to the regional leader. Take me to your leader. Okay, and we're going to create this. Notice it's authenticating me with my Slack account. See that? And so it is telling me that I'm granting access into the NTO Slack workspace. That's what I called it. And information, conversation, yes, I want to allow. So there again, it's authenticating me into Slack. And let me change this display name here. This little pencil right here allows us to change the display name. And that's my Slack connection there. Okay. And down here, what do I want my action to be? Click in here, and I want the action to be, I want to send a direct message to a user, to a particular user, all right? Because this one's going to the regional leader. So under user, you would put the user name that you want that to go to within that Slack organization. So in my case, it's D. Kesler. See the expression down there? Those of you, there's our Mule expression popping up. Okay, so I just wanted user here at this point, but we'll actually use it in the message portion because we want to have a custom expression. So we're typing in a message here now, and I want it to say, please handle this case. Because the only ones coming to this particular location will be the ones that have been escalated. So we're going to do case. And when you want that field, so right now I'm doing text. It's very much like those of you who remember data weave, you know, we're going to concate it, we're going to do plus plus, and we want the field and all that good stuff. Well, this is how this is going to work. I've typed my text. I'm going to put case number. Then I'm going to do back to my text, comma. Next, I'm going to do origin. I can spell. And I'm going to do origin, comma. Next one is priority. Come down here and click priority. Could you not get spoiled with this? I mean, I know the coder in me, the developer in me still wants to get into some XML under the hood, but this is pretty easy. I shouldn't say that too soon because then that's when things go wrong. Anyway, status. I'm going to click status. And I also want to see what the subject matter is. What is going on? Okay, so as you can see, we've got text, we've got a field, origin, priority, status, subject. Okay, I think we're good. And then what you do is you come down here and you click done. We're not going to fill anything out for the bot or the URL right now. We're just going to leave that as is. So that step is now complete. Now we want to add the add else to it, because right now, if we've hit a escalated status, I want to know about it in my private, to me directly. But if not, if it's just a new case, I want it to go to my team. So I'm going to click the add else, and I'm going to click the plus. Oh, my icons are working now. That's good. And I'm going to also do another Slack connection because it's going to the same place. And I can use the same one. Let me do a new one just to be on the safe side. This one is actually going to be it's going to go to the support channel on this one. Allow. Okay. And my action on this one is I'm going to post a message to the channel. Okay. Now what channel? Watch. It's even going to bring up the channels for us. It's loading. There we go. Okay. So, in a Slack channel, look, you've got random. I created that customer support one in general. So, yeah, I really didn't want that to take the whole screen there. So it's going to give me the option, and we want this one to be sent to customer support. And again, we want to create a message, and this time it's going to the team. So we want to say, this time I'm going to use my expression. If you don't click expression, it'll only allow you to put one field at a time or one field in there. So be sure to click expression so you can make it a complete message with all of the details. Hello, team. Please check case number. Click origin. Priority. Oops. Status. And subject. I did try copying, pasting from one message to the other, and it wasn't pretty. So you really do have to type it out, at least in my case, from what I found so far. If that's the least we have to do, I think we can handle that. Okay, scrolling down, we do done. And again, that should complete that. All right, so that's all we're setting up for this one right now. That concludes the flows. And we want to come up and we want to go ahead and save the flow. Okay, so it has now saved our flow. And next, what we want to do, I'll go over to our cases here. Now I've got some test cases already done, but I do want to create a couple of new ones, or at least when you're doing a test, what I have found, I tried to put multiple test cases in and do some changes, and it seemed to only handle really one scenario at a time. Fair enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the test, create a new flow, or not flow, create a new case, and then we'll see the results of that. So coming back here, as you can see in the upper right-hand corner, well, first of all, it's saved, of course, as we asked it to save, but then we have a test option here, and then we have an activate option that's going to activate our flow, but we do need to test it first. So let's go ahead and I'm going to click the test. What it does is it starts the test up and it gives you 5 minutes to get your test data in. And that's always fun because you think it's going to take you a lot less than that, which in my case, I got pretty good at it and I was actually waiting on it. So it's still at a status, check the status, waiting for the test to start. And it'll actually come to a point where it is running or waiting for the sample data. So we're going to give it a few, we have to wait for it. That is a cool icon though with the little dots moving all around. There we go. Okay, so see now it's starting a countdown for 5 minutes up here. It's waiting on our trigger event. We could always stop the test in the middle if we needed to, but let's go over and let's create a new case. And we're going to call this one, this is our test case for demo. And then the fields that we are looking for, we have to provide the information for case origin, and that's by email. It is a new status. There's status. If we click that, we can see there's the escalated that we are going to be watching for later. We're going to do a new one first, though. And then type, this is not as critical to our testing that we're doing, but if you were filtering based on a type, you would have to make sure you were testing the right one. And our priority is medium. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And it should be in our list of cases once it's added. Yep, there it is. So let's go back to our flow. And it is, you can notice that each step now has that same testing icon to where it is active and waiting. So it is still waiting for the trigger to come through for a new record. And no, I'm not going to sing while we're waiting. You don't want me to sing. Okay, now the test is finished. See how we got the alert here that our test is finished. And what we can do is we should now also be getting information in Slack. If everything's worked as it should, we should bring Slack up. And here we can see the newest message we got in Slack from MuleSoft Composer is, hello team, please check case such and such. And it gives the details of this case. So as expected, it worked as it should. Now let's escalate a ticket. Okay, let's go ahead and see, it concludes the test, it's done. So I'm going to go ahead and test again. Allow it to start and watch for it to start the countdown. And as it's doing the countdown, we should be able to see checking any of the messages. I will get to some of those questions too.
We are creating integrations or workflows.
These are, I think that you could actually do both depending on your use case. So you can take a look at what your use case is and build it out from there. So this is just a simple example of how it works. So I would say you could really use it for both. Okay, it's waiting on our trigger event. Let's go and change one of these over. We'll do the one that we just created. We're going to now escalate this ticket. Escalate, save, and we'll go back. Because like I said, as you research this more and see how powerful it is, you can really utilize it for not only integration, but for possible workflow. I mean, one of the examples does take a database that they've been manually updating inventory over for it, and they use this to connect it to where it's real time. So, I see it helping workflows as well.
Okay. The component created by MuleSoft Composer deployed in Salesforce Cloud, right?
Yes. Well, it is within a Salesforce organization, within the user interface of Salesforce.
Okay. So there is no requirement of MuleSoft here.
Well, it's using MuleSoft. So it's MuleSoft under the hood, but yeah, it's not like the not where you're dealing
It's
directly with
independent.
MuleSoft.
Yeah, it's
Right.
independent.
It's under the hood. That's why when I found that information out that it's connecting to Anypoint Platform, I was really impressed. I'm like, hey, okay. So this time the ticket got escalated. The team did not get a message. However, to me directly, there was a message. Please handle this case. And it's more of an urgent. So this is the urgent message. This is the hello team, casual. It's okay, check it out tomorrow. The one that came directly to me is it did get escalated. Status is escalated. So it did work as it should. I do want to show you, how are we on time? Are we good for maybe another 5 minutes under mine?
Yes, and we also have a Q&A.
Okay, all right, good. All right, well, let me show you. What I did want to show you is I created a flow that's going to throw an error. And I do want you to see how this one runs and what the error is once we get it. So we want to, come on. Okay, here we go. So bring it in, and I do have a, this loading some of the, oh, all right, come on, let's see if it's going to make our connections. Notice that that wasn't the expected error that showed up that said the connections weren't happening. Let me make sure that our connection is good here. I think so, because we're getting data back now. Okay, we're getting the sample data. Okay, so let's do a test on this one. And when you can click here to look at your output. Yeah, we're not getting information there now. We'll have to see if this is going to play out. Okay, we are. It's waiting for a trigger. Very good. All right, so I'm going to create a new case. And I'm just going to skip through it really quickly. I'm going to call this one error. And email, status, type, and save. Okay, and we'll wait for the error, or for it to notice that we've made a new record. And it should hit and throw an error, is what I'm expecting it to do. It's always nice when you're expecting an error as opposed to one shows up that you didn't really plan on. So, but it does take, sometimes the response time on this seems a little bit slower. It could be my bandwidth too.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you can answer one of the question.
Okay. MuleSoft Composer only for customer hosted. In the idea of it's only for within Salesforce user interface. So you would have to be working with Salesforce already to have it integrated in. It's not a standalone from Salesforce, it's part of Salesforce. Is it something that's useful to tailor on-demand integrations? Yes. In prod, yes. Once these are running, it would be considered in production, because I can start a flow once I have activated it and it's running. It'll continue to run. So you could, yes, use it in a production environment. Okay, good. Here's what we wanted. You can see the test finished with errors. And so what you do is scroll down and you look for where the errors occurred. And here's where you can see the details. And Alexandra, I know you're on here. Look at this output application JSON. What does that look like to you? Certainly looks like a data weave expression kind of happening there. Yes. When I saw that, I'm like, aha. Okay, so again, it's all happening under the hood. This is where it's at. But what we did find is you called the function append with these arguments, and we have a null. And so we're getting a null value unknown. It's not knowing how to handle it. So let's go back and troubleshoot and check out what we have. And when we originally could see data in our test data, notice that the case reason is a null value. So this information was not provided in the ticket, and apparently it's a requirement. So when that is removed, the flow does work as it should. So it did pick up an error there, and you could determine that there was either information that was not provided in the ticket, or it may be a deprecated field because I'm not even seeing it in the sample data. So in that case, we would remove that field and provide information elsewhere, probably in a description. So if we go back and we take our demo, and we're going to edit this and we're going to activate this, now it is going into what is considered to be production. This is where it would actually be running as an app. Once you've tested it, this one did test successfully, so we know that it's working as it should. And the activation period did seem to take a little bit of time, kind of like a deployment in a way. And as it runs through, then we should be able to run multiple cases, and it will pick up and be sending multiple messages, not just one at a time as in a testing environment. So as that is completing, I'm going to, I'll share it with you once I've completed just talking about the how to learn more. Join the MuleSoft Composer community. Get involved. There is so much information out there as you get into a Trailblazer group. And you can ask questions and network, etc. Really build out your knowledge skills. So join this. We can share some of these links with you too. There's a particular composer community also, and with the trailheads, mini courses, and there's some more that were more comprehensive too, that really help you. Although you don't have the ability to really try it out, you can really get a feel for some of the things it can do. And hopefully it's something that if you are presently using Salesforce, then it can be added to your apps and be able to use it hands-on in a production environment. So there's upcoming Salesforce and MuleSoft meetups too. Not only the meetups that we do with MuleSoft, but also the Salesforce meetups. And come to find out, there's some Salesforce meetups that I was unaware of that are in the Chattanooga area. So that was good to see and find out from there. Okay.
There are a few more questions. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, this did continue to deploy, I believe, and it is it's active. Okay, so that deployed, and I could send different cases, and it would continue to work in a more active environment now. So it would actually handle multiple case changes, new cases, any cases that are escalated. Okay, let's look at the questions coming in. Let me get to one. Customer host, is it useful?
Field mapping.
Field mapping. Okay, that actually is it's visual. Everything seems to be click, basically click and move and connect from there. So pretty much all of them are a mapping, like what you saw me doing. Even on the so when remember we had the Salesforce. Let me go back to our flows. We had the Salesforce connector at the top, And then we connected with those fields with Slack at the bottom. That's the visual connectivity from between the two. So that gives you an idea. It is a point and click type of thing. Can you use more connectors or only those 5? These are the 5 pre-built ones. I did not dig deep enough to find out if there are custom connectors, and what they plan to do with that is a great question. That's one thing I would like to find out myself as well. So I'll jot that down, and we'll be happy to share that and post it once the recording is posted up. I do follow-up work with the meetups that I'm in to where I can answer any of these questions that I'm not sure about myself.
Yeah, there is one more. All standard objects available in Salesforce can be used in MuleSoft Pro.
I believe, I think that is correct, because when we use the Salesforce connector within MuleSoft, we have all of those availability. So I would think, I think that is correct. I think that is
But
correct.
you can confirm later, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And we will be able to keep our chat too, right? So we can go back through and make sure we answer all of these.
Sure.
Someone asked, does it come free with Salesforce? No, it is not free. It is an extra purchase within Salesforce. That part I know. Last question, can we integrate outside Salesforce? Well, Slack's outside of Salesforce, and the other connectors are, I don't know which apps you're looking for in particular. But as fast as this is moving and growing, what I keep hearing from the community too, and the project or the product managers, are that if there's something in particular that is a high in demand, that they will prioritize those requests accordingly. And so if there's a connection or a connector or something that you are looking for, and really that there's multiple requests for something like that, they do take that into consideration. So maybe there's something with that.
So
Yeah,
I
I
think
see her.
one more question is volume, production volume.
That I don't know. Great question.
Okay.
I do not
Okay.
know. Yeah.
We can get back.
Yeah, let's, because like I said, I've gotten, as a result of this, one thing that's super nice about the support that we have is that they has put us in touch with people who would know those questions or try to expedite some information regarding that. So I'll see what I can find out.
Sure. I think we already 5 minutes over.
Okay.
So
Sounds great. Now
yeah,
let's turn this over to
yeah.
Whitney.
Thank you very much, Dan. Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Whitney, all yours. Excited to hear yours.
Okay, can you hear me? All right, great. Okay, so let me share my screen and then we can get started. All right, so you guys should see my presentation. All right, so I first want to say, Diane, this was really great. So thank you for that. And I have a hard act to follow.
You got this. We all have something to share. My pleasure, though.
Yes. So today, my name is Whitney Akinola, and today I'm going to talk about how you can determine if your file has been tampered with. And really what that has to deal with is file integrity. So before I begin, just a little bit about me. I tell everyone that I'm a MuleSoft developer by day and a MuleSoft enthusiast by night. And what that means is I'm actually a developer. I code, I solution designs. I solution MuleSoft projects, and I also mentor developers on the project. In addition, I'm a MuleSoft enablement lead, and it's just a fancy title for I am in MuleSoft engagement for our practice. So I pretty much try to help developers in our practice the best that I can to be able to do their work. So some things that I do is I lead a MuleSoft boot camp for people that are newly trained, as well as new hires. And that program tracks the developer from the boot camp to their first client. I've also had the opportunity to get certified 4 times. 3 times are active. So the developer and the 2 integration architect and platform architect certifications. But the fun part is the MuleSoft enthusiast. I contribute to the MuleSoft community in 3 ways. The first way is I have my own blog and YouTube channel. They're WhitneyAkinola.io, and then the YouTube channel is WhitneyAkinola_IO. It's been really good. I started this journey in November 2020. I had some mentorship from Alex. So thank you, Alex, for that. And I was able to get started. The second way is I'm a part of the ProstDev. I'm a content writer for ProstDev. And I don't know if I'm saying it right, but I'm going to go with ProstDev, which Prost means cheers. I really admire what Alex has done with ProstDev. She's the founder. And I've just found that it's a great place for getting content in regards to like MuleSoft. They have some Solus things. They also have information about like merge sort, insertion sort. So it's a really good place that you can go to just to get content about technology. Also, if you want to start contributing and you want to start writing, I would recommend like submitting an article to ProstDev. And lastly, I am a part of the MuleSoft Meetup group for Wilmington, Delaware, where I co-lead with my partner, Monique Mager. You might know him. He's a part of the Virtual Muleys YouTube channel, as well as the online meetup groups. So with my Mule journey, I found that I have these growing interests, and they're around content creation, teaching, and developer branding. So I found that I really enjoy content creation. I like blogging. I'm getting into the YouTube, but I think MuleSoft for just giving me the opportunity to be able to contribute and give back in that way. And then when you contribute to the community, you end up teaching. So you're able to teach developers that may not know, or they might be starting, or it might be something that they may be struggling with, and they look up your blog and say, oh, I got it. This was very helpful. So I find a lot of satisfaction doing that. And lastly, developer branding. This is something that Diane touched on that MuleSoft really helps with. I've been able to work on branding myself, and I feel like it's important because we work in a very competitive field, and a lot of companies are looking for MuleSoft developers. And I believe that this gets you in the door. Well, and this gets you an interview a lot faster than if you just apply. So brand yourself, and that'll help you in the recruiting process. All right. So we have a problem. We have an important file, and we want to determine if this file was tampered with or any errors have occurred during transmission. So what this is this is an integrity problem. So with integrity, you're concerned with making sure that the data has not changed, and you're also concerned with the trustworthiness of the data. Integrity is not confidentiality. It's not availability. It's just we've received this file or this data, and now we have to validate that this data is trustworthy. So one of the concepts that comes up with integrity is checksum. Well, a checksum is just a unique value that comes from running a cryptographic hash function. Some of you guys may be familiar with hash functions and hash tables, Java hash maps, dictionaries, etc. But in cryptography, the hash function is used as well. So how this works is you're going to run your file through your hash function. Now your file is going to be a string representation, and then you're going to be giving a hash value. That hash value, if the original hash value is known from the original file, then you can validate with the new hash value. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. So what's this validation process? So you have a sender and you have a receiver. So the first thing is your sender is going to send the file, or your sender is going to run their file through a hash function utility. And then they're going to create an assigned value. That utility is going to create a value. That value is then going to be given to the receiver. Some kind of way the receiver is going to find out about this value. Now, the receiver downloads the file, and they take that file and they run it through their own hash function utility, and then they compare the results. And depending on those results, the receiver can choose what to do next. So here's a way that the sender can communicate with the receiver. So this is Anypoint Studio, and downloading Anypoint Studio, you'll get this screen. It'll say, thank you for downloading Anypoint Studio and Mule. And you'll see that there's a checksum, which you can see this string that's highlighted says SHA-256, and then there's a string, an alphanumeric string. That is the checksum. So what MuleSoft is saying is, here is the file, and this is the associated checksum with the file. Now it's up to the person that's downloading the file if they would like to verify that the file is indeed what they downloaded and has not been tampered with. So I'm not sure if you can see this, this screen, but this is Dropbox API. And this is the download. There's a download API. So from here, you can see the highlighted part. It says content hash. And then there's the hash function, or the hash, or the checksum. Now, if you go to Dropbox's website, they do give you documentation on how to calculate the hash function there. But if you wanted to, integrate with calling Dropbox API, and you wanted to verify that what you downloaded was correct, then, or valid and not tampered with, had no errors, then you can get that information from the content hash. So there's some validation outcomes, and there's only two outcomes. The first is the successful outcome. You have the expected checksum, which is the checksum of the original file. And then you have the actual checksum, which is the checksum of the copied file or the downloaded file. Those have to match. If those match, then the file hasn't been tampered with, or has not, there's no errors, it's not corrupted. Now, the flip side is the file, the original checksum and the actual checksum don't match. And so it's an unsuccessful validation. And again, it's up to the receiver or the person that's downloading the file to figure out what they want to do next. So Mule offers a solution. This solution is the Mule cryptography module, and it's not to be confused with DataWeave's crypto module. This is actually for Mule 4. So it has some capabilities and a few strategies, and basically it can do asymmetric and symmetric encryption, message signing, and signature validations. And it has 3 strategies: PGP, XML for encrypting XML documents, and JCE. But highlighted in green is what we're going to focus on, and that's the general operations. So there's two general operations. They're calculate checksum and validate checksum. And I'll tell you a little bit more about those. So the calculate checksum, what it does is it computes the checksum. So you pass in the algorithm that you would like to use, the content, the target variable, and the target value. And then it'll spit out a string similar to what we saw with the Anypoint Studio example and the Dropbox example. It'll be a hexadecimal string, alphanumeric string. So, and then there's the validate checksum. What that'll do is you'll provide the algorithm, the value, and then the expected string, and that will then validate. So if the actual and expected checksums match, then you go on to the next processor in your MuleFlow. But if they don't match, then it'll throw an error, and you can see like there's a validation error and a missing key error that can possibly be thrown. So now I have a demonstration. But before I do that, I just want to say, if you're interested in knowing more about these two operations, you can go to my blog. I have a detailed post on just how these work, as well as a demonstration of how these work. Also, the code is on the GitHub site, so you can download the code. All right. So I'm going to get into the demonstration. Sorry, guys, I got two monitors and I lost my mouse. Okay, I think we have the right screen now.
Pink flower. Yes.
Yep. Okay. All righty. And let me get. Okay. So I'm going to start and just give you like a premise of the project. So when you go to my GitHub site, you can download a project, and it's just two flows. So it's an original flow. This is the use case where the original file and the downloaded file match. And then there's a tampered checksum flow, and this is the case where they don't match. So now I want to show you what the files look like for the demo. So the first file, they're similar files. Let me try to, but there's a minor difference in the file. Oops. Okay, so, like I said, they're similar, and then there's a minor difference in the file. So you can see that where they both say hello world, and then they say -WAIO. The original file has Carolina blue ink. And then the tampered file, the blue is missing. It's all black. So you can see that these aren't the same files. So I'm going to exit out of that. Now I want to show you the hash functions. So this is my PowerShell screen, and I'm going to use this get file hash. Now, it's a hash function utility, and what it's going to do is it's going to spit out the hash codes. Now, my tampered file and my original file, I'm storing them at this location, ctemp. So I'm going to call, and then when I call this, I'm going to pass in a string location or file path, and by default, get file hash uses SHA-256. So when I press enter, it's going to spit out a hash code. So let me put this in. Okay, so this is our first one. And this is our second one. So this is the hash code between the two. Now, you would use something like this if you were downloading from a site and you just wanted to check the hash codes. All right. So now let me explain a little bit more of the code. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through the code, and then I'm going to run it through the debugger so that you can see what's happening in each part of the code. So the flows are pretty simple. There's a listener, then I read from the file location. So this one is the original file. Then there's a calculate checksum, but you have to add this module, by the way, and you can get the module from Exchange first. So for calculate checksum, it takes in an algorithm and a content. So that content would be the string representation from your payload. I save this as actual checksum in a target variable, and I'm taking the payload, and that payload will be stored in that variable. I print out what the actual checksum is. And then there's the validation, where we're going to compare the actual with the payload. So here's the payload is the actual, and then the expected is the expected payload that I configured ahead of time. We print it out, and then I have a nice response that says the payloads match. So then there's another case where you have a tampered checksum, and it's the same thing. It's the same exact case. Probably could have used one flow. However, this time it's going to hit the validate checksum, and it will go into the on error propagate. So it'll throw an error. It goes in the on error propagate. I print out a message, and then I'll send a response, and that response will give you a 500. Okay, so now I'm going to put a breakpoint here, and I'm going to start the project in debug mode. And we wait for Anypoint Studio to do its thing. Okay, switch to perspective. We're still trying to boot up.
Whitney, go
Okay.
ahead and just sing for us. That'll be fine.
I can't sing.
Neither can I.
Although I was testing my mic yesterday, no one could hear me, and I started like singing. And once I got my mic to work, I'm singing during the meeting, and I didn't realize I was muted. I was unmuted. So yeah, that was very embarrassing. So working remote. Okay.
It's okay. It's okay to be entertaining the folks on the meeting. No worries with me.
No, but it's really distracting when someone's like talking and then you're like da 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 da. All right.
Next time they'll ask us to get a guitar and then sing.
Yeah. Okay. So this is my Postman. You can also run this in curl. It's pretty simple. I just have a base path of checksum, and then the endpoint is called original. So this will invoke the original flow. So I hit send. All right. So we first read the file. Oh, hold on. Sorry. We read the file, and then you can see the payload of the file. Then we want to go over the calculate checksum, and we store that as the actual checksum, and you can see the hexadecimal alphanumeric string. We go over, we print, and then this is where the validation happens. We were able to go over the validation. So the file, there's no errors. It's the same exact file. And then we print and we get a response. So yeah, success. The received file expected payload from the original file. So it's the same. All right, so now we want to do the case where the file is tampered. So the case where the file is tampered, we invoke the flow. The endpoint is called tampered. And then we go over through the similar flow. We calculate the checksum. The checksum is different. We print out the actual checksum. We validate, and notice it says checksum does not match SHA-256. That's our error. And it's a crypto validation error. So the error is thrown, caught in on error propagate error handler. We print out the error, and then we're given a response. And so this time, error, there was an invalid checksum. The file has an error or was tampered by a third party. And then it compares the two. The expected checksum was this, and the actual checksum was that. So one thing that I kind of glossed over was that I pre-configured in the project, and if you do decide to download the project in the property files, you'll see that I put the expected checksum in the property file. So that's how I was getting that expected checksum previously. So this checksum was previously calculated and I was able to do that. Another thing I'd like to point out is the original get hash. It computed the checksum in all caps, but the MuleSoft computes the checksum, or the Mule component computes the checksum in lowercase. So that's not a problem. It's the same value, but you just need to make sure that your cases match. So I did lower. So that's just something to keep in mind. But that completes my demonstration and my presentation. So anybody have any questions?
Question.
Okay.
Amresh, is this crypto module usable for huge files or streaming payload read from a file connector? Any limits?
So that's a good question. I would have to give you an answer to that and try a really big file. I tried a very small file. So I can get back to you with that.
Whitney, I have a question.
I think you can certainly do that. You can try out with the large file and then check it out. And you should be fine, Amresh.
I have a basic question, Whitney.
Yeah.
We have one-way SSL and two-way SSL security. Why we need this crypto module?
Right. So, okay. So the first thing is, let's just, this will validate integrity, and it's just an extra layer. So SSL does more than just validating integrity. It also does confidentiality, right? But this is just integrity only. So you might have a case where maybe you're not using SSL. This is an extra layer of security.
And also to add to Whitney's point, right? This crypto package, crypto connector, addresses a wide range of cryptography functions. So keep that in mind when you are when you have needs for encrypting your file or decrypting your file, sending it to a proper destination and things like that. See, SSL, what it does is it's only takes care of the on the wire security, but if you have to really encrypt and all that, SSL will not be a right solution, correct?
Right.
So for that reason, this crypto connector is very useful. So that's the basic, that's the difference between why we should go for crypto.
Right. So a common use case is to use PGP encryption.
Yeah.
And this will be one way in which you can do it using Mule without having to use a third-party PGP encryption. There's also XML and what was the other one? JCE. But the general Mule was nice enough to have general operations where you just want to calculate the checksum and validate the checksum as well.
Please also do look at crypto documentation. It's very detailed, and then you could go to docs.mulesoft.com and then please check it out.
Here, I'm actually putting it in here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If we are done with questions, I
No,
think
there are two more questions.
Okay.
Are you looking at it, Whitney, or should I read?
Where are we at? Any existing process best practices to share the checksum expected value? I don't have any best practices, but for the expected value, well, actually, it depends on where you're getting that expected value. So I showed a scenario where Dropbox gave you the expected value, right? And you had to parse it from the payload. So that's one way where you can get the expected value. But if you were going to manually store that expected value, Then if you wanted to put in a property file and you wanted to encrypt it, then you could do that. But it really depends on how you're going to get that expected value.
Okay. I think there is
Not
one more
sure if that
question.
answers your question.
Yeah. I guess it should be the same for any files like images or audio files, right? It's same, Shiva. And there was last question. Any general advice on where to go for learning about the concepts of cryptography in the context of integration?
Yeah. So I'm learning. So this was just an area that I wanted to learn about. I like this book right here. It's called Serious Cryptography. It's on Amazon.
Okay.
It's by he has a French name, but I'm just gonna say Gene. I know I'm mispronouncing that, but this is the name. I can put the link of it for cryptography, and then I'm also looking at the foundations of information security, and it's by Jason. So yeah, and then also meetups for API best practices. There's white papers. If you're a partner, Catalyst is really good. The MuleSoft Catalyst. Going back, like I think Diane has said, she went back and looked at old meetups. That would definitely help.
Yeah, there are a lot of information. Yeah. But anyway, for any more questions, they can connect in the MuleSoft developer group and ask the questions and we can answer, right? Thank you, Whitney.
Absolutely.
Thank
I think that's a good idea.
you. Yeah.
Thank you. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. My Twitter is my name. My handle for my Twitter is my name. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, Whitney, for great presentation. I think Arvind can take over and yeah, continue
Just
the
give me
trivia.
1 second while I pull up the presentation. Yeah.
I will quickly complete the trivia questions. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you guys can. Just couple more minutes. Sorry about it.
No problem. Number 44, slide number 44.
Yeah, going there, Suresh.
Share your screen as well.
Second, please. 1 second, Suresh. Let me first share my screen and then I'll put it in the presentation.
It's worth the wait, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Time to get the guitar out. Question 1.
I mean, for answer for question 1.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see multiple screens.
Yep.
Oh, that's fine.
It's like looking in a mirror.
Let me go to this. Okay.
Yeah. Question 1. Okay.
To use MuleSoft Composer, the developer needs to have XML experience to create a flow. It's a true or false question.
Okay. I think answer is false. Correctly answered by Madhusudan is the first one to answer. Okay. So let me stop this question too. Okay, I wrote Madhusudan's name.
Yeah, can I
Go
move
to
on?
next. Yeah, go to next.
MuleSoft Composer is an additional feature that can be purchased to be added to your Salesforce organization. True or false?
Who was the first to answer? I think Madhava Indukuri. Just wait a minute. Let me
Yeah.
write it down. One minute.
Yep.
Okay, now just a moment. Version 3. Okay, now go ahead.
Okay. Choose one encryption type from the following.
Okay, Sujata is the first one to answer. Okay, let me check for
PGP.
you can go to next question, Arvind.
What is checksum?
I think Desalagna Chekol is the first one to answer. Answer A is correct. Let me write his name. Chekol is pronounced properly, but yeah. Okay. Question. Till now, 4 questions completed, right? Or
Yeah,
5?
4 questions. Yeah.
Okay. So let me write it down. 5th question. Yes, can go to next question.
What are the 2 general operations used in Mule's cryptography module? Calculate checksum and verify checksum, compute checksum and validate checksum, compute checksum and verify checksum, calculate checksum and validate checksum.
Okay. Answer D is correct. Brittany Leitner answered correct first. Brittany. Okay. You have any more questions?
I think this is the last one.
Okay. Okay. So we have 5 members answered correctly first. So I'm just trying to share my screen and run this in the wheel of names so that we can
Sure.
pick 3 members.
Okay.
Okay. You can stop sharing and I'll just stop sharing. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
All right. Yes, I'm sharing it now. Yeah, so I added 5 names here. So I'm just running this. Yeah, first winner is Chakol. Congratulations, Chakol.
Hey.
And let me run again. Madhav is second winner. Congratulations, Madhav. Yeah, Madhusudan is third winner. Congratulations.
Congratulations, guys.
Yay!
Yeah, all the 3 winners, can you send your email IDs here?
Please post it in the
Congratulations.
chat so that
Yeah.
we can get that information to get you the vouchers.
So yeah, you can conclude, Arvind.
Thank you so much, guys. I mean, thanks for a great meetup again. And then we also need to make an announcement. Like we will be having another meetup in September, probably second week of September. We are still debating, like whether to do a virtual or a live in person. But we need presenters for that meetup. Please feel free to send your topics, and then we can go from there. First of all, is anybody interested in presenting?
Yeah, they can put a message there. Yeah.
Yeah. We do need presenters, and then we really encourage this.
Okay,
And
Shiva is
also,
interested. Amresh is interested. Yeah, definitely, Shiva. Just send a email to me or Arvind. You can find it in, or you can reply to the MuleSoft Meetup Charlotte group. We'll get that email, and I'll try to connect with you, and I'll see we can schedule one meetup.
we definitely
Yeah.
love to see more presenters, new presenters coming up. And by the way, I mean, presenters also get a free training voucher and a certification voucher.
When you look at the price tag on that, you guys are paying very nicely for that.
Yeah,
Even the
almost close
winners.
to $5,000.
Yes,
Like,
yes. Absolutely. It's well worth it. Thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you. I think we completed early, 4 minutes early. So thank you very much, Diane and Whitney. It was nice presentation, great presentation. And thank you all for joining this meetup. And we're looking forward to see you again in next meetup. Thank you. Have a nice
Thank you.
good night.
Have a wonderful evening, and
Good night.
talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Good night.